Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, the podcast about music, news, and interviews. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here today with Ryan of Marina City. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of your show. I love it. I'm really happy that it's only me here instead of the other guys, because I get to have you guys all to myself and talk to you. No.
Perfect.
Love it.
Fuck those guys. Cut that out. Cut that out, Lizzie, please. I've known Eric for a minute, so
I'm going to cut this out
wanna
and send
talk
it
shit.
directly to Eric on Facebook later. Don't even stress.
Hey, we got your declined email invite. So here's a clip from like what we recorded within the first 10 seconds. Here you go, Eric. Have a great rest of your day.
You can use that for promo.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it. We'll just start internal Chicago beef for no reason.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be like, what's going on? Don't
Yeah,
worry
you know what?
about it.
Actually, our next record is gonna be like rumors where everyone in the band hates each other, because that's the story that we should create for this. Is constant fight.
Yes.
It's the meta narrative of it all.
It's the meta narrative. Yeah.
Everyone's going to be like, so what triggered this? And we're going to be like,
Emo
we all
social.
hate.
Emo Social Club.
Emo
triggered
Social
us.
Club, we all hate each other, actually.
We know we all have to go on a podcast, or no one can go on the
Yeah,
podcast.
that's it.
And
Yeah.
Ryan didn't listen to that instruction.
Brian just went. Can you
Ryan
believe?
just showed up. He's like, no, I'm going to that. I'm going to that house, guys. I'm going in.
I'm going no matter what.
Introduce the Marina City yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and the band.
Yeah, so Marina City, there has been so many different eras of the band. So a lot of people often ask, like, when did you guys start? And like the true answer is we started in 2012, but then it felt like there was like a complete like reset in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and then we lost like half the members, and then it felt like a completely reset again in 2023. It feels like, and so with that being said, though. I've always written the lyrics and melodies, and with it, Eric's always been a really heavy into the production side of the band and really bringing that. And Toder's always been the lead guitar player, bringing some kind of riff. So it does feel like, even though that we've changed and altered, we've been lucky enough to be able to get stronger as songwriters and have a style of our own, while also being exploring that what rock music is in all these years of 2012 to 2024. So in a nutshell, what Marina City is just like a hodgepodge melting pot of our influences since we were 18 to now being in our 30s. And we've been really lucky to be able to keep doing this and have podcasts as yourself want to keep interviewing us and have shows like what we're going to announce later in this podcast to keep doing. And it's been a really cool ride to be able to do that with my best friends.
I was in a band back in 2012 too, and I remember seeing one of your music videos. I can't remember exactly which song it was. I think people were like in some sort of Fight Club situation.
Yeah, falling up and breaking down.
Yeah, and like we were doing, well, if I have to describe it in the most like specific way, dubstep metal. And I was like, no, wait, this band is doing like fucking pop rock, like R&B, like all the stuff like we want to do besides the dubstep metal part. Like all the stuff, like all these influences we want to bring in.
Wow.
And I remember being like, dude, we got to play a show with these guys. Like we got to get on the bill with them. And then we broke up. So we never did.
It's okay, Brian. We were over at one of our friends' places during Due Division, and Shotgun Zombie music videos were playing where he said, when's the reunion? And he said, never.
People are asking. That's what I keep saying. No one's asking. Most people are like, no one's asking.
When
And
is
I'm
the
like, people are
Shotgun
asking.
Zombie? I was wondering about that.
No, it should be all of us asking right now, and then the
Shotgun
internet
Zombie,
will be.
People are asking about it.
Well, first of all, man, it's honestly means a lot, and it's really cool that something like that inspired in some way, which is awesome.
Inspired us to break up because we're never going to be this good.
I'm really happy that we were breaking up, bands. From that.
We were like, let's really, till the Chicago scene a little bit. Like, there's too many bands, and we gotta
You said, don't worry, we're gonna just take ourselves out of the equation. We're done.
Yeah, I just see the music video. We're all like sitting like this, like fuck. It's like that video of the plain white tees listening to the Drake song.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, it's like, fuck.
Now,
Marina
sidebar,
City, they did it.
do we think on this random The Used tour Plain White Tees are on that they're going to walk out to the...
Wagwan Delilah?
That actually would be amazing.
Hey, homie Tom, can you please do this for realsy?
You can see in their video that they're just like trying to be nice about it, which I appreciate them being like, this isn't real, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
I mean, and they're such nice guys that they're probably being like
Tom
genuine, like, I just don't want to cause an issue with Drake and be on the next receiving end.
Although if you're on the Kendrick side, I think you're okay. So maybe
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, I messaged. Well, I didn't message Tom, but I did post it on my story. And Tom has been on the pod. We've hung out.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's so genuine, and I know that he was really doing his best. He's like, yeah, I don't know, it's weird, but it's cool. And I'm like, no, Tom, it isn't. Please cease and desist this.
Cease and desist, right? C&D it right now.
I don't ever want someone to cease and desist anybody. I think all art deserves an opportunity. I think that all music is derivative and it all comes from somewhere else, and we're all playing to our strengths of the influences that we came from. Block Drake. Just get him off the internet with this bullshit
Everyone
song
publicly block Drake so we can just be done with this.
It's funny, man. This is so weird, but I was never he's not really in my style of music that I've ever really listened to. And so when typically people are like, we got to listen to Drake or whatever, and I've always been like, I'm not really into that. And now it just feels like I'm justified. It's cooler to be
You're I'm fine. I got out
I'm
of
okay.
this.
I was never really that big of a fan. So you know what? I think it's, I met Tom too, and it's one of those moments where sometimes you forget that Plain White Tees is a massive act.
Grammy
and
winning.
one of the biggest songs of our generation. And for that to even be back in 2024, regardless if it's a really awkward version of it, it's just, again, I'm looking at that video, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know those guys. That's really cool, you know?
And they look like they are in pain. Someone
yeah,
who's
they're
suffering.
doing their absolute best to be like, can we do that? Can we read that?
Their mellow was so harsh in that moment.
Yeah.
It's summer, so I don't know if you have this, but summer when you book things and you have shows, people don't want to be inside of a venue.
Yeah.
So there was definitely less people there at that time. So I felt a little bit whatever, I can have fun. No one's gonna care.
It's interesting on how that works. I mean, my full-time gig is a musician now. No matter if it's with Marina City, if it's with solo stuff, it's with cover stuff, whatever the case is. And I'll be in usually in these restaurants, and there won't be a ton of people there in the inside ones. And I literally asked, is everything okay here? And oh no, we expect this. If we don't have a patio and you're playing in the restaurant, that no one's showing up.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, I didn't
I didn't even,
I never thought that was a thing. And I mean, there's
Chicago, man.
Yeah, especially in Chicago.
Yeah.
So the specifically, I'm talking about a high end, rich food place that if they don't have a patio, then it's just not their busy season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, beautiful transition.
Yeah.
Speaking of outdoor shows, you are playing Wicker Park Fest in
Yes,
Chicago
we
this
are,
year.
yeah.
Lizzie, compliment me on my transition, please.
He doesn't do transitions.
Compliment
well.
me.
I thought it was a fantastic.
That was so great. I'm so happy you're learning after all these years.
Yeah, we got tight Street Fest here in Chicago, and we got good bands, good local bands that do original music that are playing them.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer the ones where it's all original bands, and there's a little bit of that discovery. It's run by all the venues we have here in Chicago, and they're the ones who kind of put up the artists that they think should be on these stages. So I'm glad Marina City is on one. I've seen you at plenty of Street Fest in the time you've been a band. So.
We really love Street Fest. I just feel like almost the band is built for it, where it's what we do really well as a band is playing live, and that's what our bread and butter is. And so the ability to be able to turn people's heads or stop them from walking and just check it out. I mean, we're going to be jumping crazy. We're yelling. We're doing. Well, all our dynamics are really either big or really, really low, or we strip it down, whatever the case is. And so when we get an opportunity to really show off our feathers, and then usually Street Fest have bigger stages than normally the smaller stages. So we really get to spread our wings on those things. Is a lot of fun. And so doing something like Wicker Park Fest, we've done it before. Actually, we almost did it one time where it rained literally the exact time that we played to the exact time that we ended.
Of course.
And then we were the only act that was canceled. It was so heartbreaking. So they invited us to come back the year later. Tons of fun, but we didn't have the full band at the time. Eric was gone on the road. And now being able to do it as the three of us and really showcase what Marina City can do, really excited to make that happen.
It's very true. I remember it was this weird Bears Street Fest thing that I saw you at. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, wait, I remember.
Strange. Yeah.
You guys went to that?
I didn't go to it.
Yeah.
But
I remember it was there, and I was like, I'm going to this because Marina City's playing.
The
Barney
radio
Pirates Club was
stations
there?
I worked at, they were also there. And then they were like, oh, we're also doing promo stuff at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Bears kickoff, and that was 2019. And it was really exciting to be a Bears fan because 2018, the Bears literally lost in the playoffs by a double doink, and everyone was like, "This year is the year. 2019 is a big year." So playing like, and they were having this big celebration of like everyone rah together because the football season is about to start. It was us, Friday Pilots Club, Lovely the band was on it. What a awesome lineup. That night was so fun. And Friday Pilots Club and I did when we were young. The Killers cover together.
Yes, I remember.
that was so much fun. And then the Bears sucked that year, and then the pandemic hit, and then the world changed.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I feel like the Bears have kept that consistency, though.
Yeah,
So I don't
the
think we
Bears
ever came
Street
back
Fest
from
was
that.
Great.
Yeah, but the Bears,
Yeah.
Fest,
They put on
man,
a
they can
fire
throw
fest.
a
The Bears,
fest.
now here's the next question. With Friday Pilots Club playing,
Yeah,
they're playing Lala this summer, right?
No, they
Or-
played last year.
I think they played last
No,
year, but they're
okay.
blowing up though.
They
I mean,
are,
like they
yeah.
just did like basically a whole sold out Europe tour.
Yeah, they did.
It's crazy.
Now
Fuck
here's
you,
the thing:
Drew.
are you guys gonna release a cover of that together?
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. I'm gonna manifest it. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awesome? So Caleb, hit me up. Drew, hit me up. Let's
Drew.
actually do a cover of When We Were Young by the Killers together. That would be a lot of fun, actually.
And then release it just in time for when we were Young Fest that neither of you guys are performing
Yeah.
at.
I will be there though.
Oh, we
We'll
will
be
be
there.
there too.
So
there
I'll
we
have
go.
to see you guys. My
Let's
wife
party.
and I, we bought those tickets like right when they came. We'll be on the Sun. We'll be there Sunday.
We'll be there both days.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Now, are you bringing the new baby?
No, we are not bringing the new
Okay.
baby. That would, if it was in Chicago, it probably would happen.
Okay.
Because I want her to experience
Yeah.
the music that is When We Were Young Fest. But unfortunately, you know what? Honestly, I don't know. TVA.
You're gonna
TVA.
go home to your
Yeah.
wife tonight and be
Yeah.
like, "Listen, I just talked to these two bozos
What if
on
we
this
did this?
podcast."
What if the baby came to Vegas?
Because listen, like this is actually what happened. Like there's movies about it. You know, like have
Yeah,
you seen
literally, just
Hungover,
put the,
the Hangover.
just go cosplay as the
God.
Hangover,
as Zach Galifianakis.
and then just bring Eric and
So-
Turner, and you're all ready to go.
So we actually that would be awesome. So we, yeah, of course, I'm the little guy in it. So, but anyways, so Jazz, my daughter Jazz, she was only 2 months, and she got to see. She went to the Cubs game when I sang the national anthem, and she was strapped on my wife's chest doing the whatever that thing is, the baby carrier. And we're going to the Cubs game again for Father's Day. And she's going to be going there too. And we're going to Florida for a little trip because my wife, her team's going to nationals because she's a dance choreographer.
Hell yeah.
And she's coming with. So why not Vegas? You know, the
not?
baby's going to be well traveled by the time
I was
October
about to
comes.
say
does.
she's gonna be able to like flaunt it to everybody
Yeah.
by the time
Yeah.
she gets to like preschool. She's
Yeah,
like,
she's gonna-
"I've been to Vegas. She's gonna be like the
She's
Four
already-
Seasons Orlando baby, actually.
She's already TSA
Who wants to go to
approved.
Vegas?
She's like,
Can a baby get pre-check?
she's already pre-checked.
You're gonna get this baby out of here and get her
That's
on the
just like,
plane.
yeah. So maybe we're gonna have that conversation because I mean there are some records that are playing on that show that
Seriously.
she needs to see. She needs to witness. She needs to be cultured. You know,
She
like
needs to be called. You know what? We've been posting so many album reviews where people are like, "Oh, this came out in 2001. How old were you? You can't appreciate it." I'm like, I was literally 6 years old.
Yeah.
So you need to be
You have to do it.
so early to the punch,
She's gonna
especially
get
because
so
she's a
made fun of.
girl.
Yeah.
She's gonna have to be able to like
Yeah.
stunt on like these 40-year-old men when she's 10 years
Yes.
old.
I'm not kidding. That is something that I talk to my wife about all the time. I go, Lindsay, she needs to know English, Spanish, and speaking of the scene. Like she needs to know 3 languages.
She's gonna be trilingual.
She needs to know industry like music like stuff.
She's
like
gonna need
history.
to know the like the actual lingo of it all.
Exactly, and I'm not going there, and someone goes like I'm. She's not gonna embarrass me when someone's like, "Oh, look at this Thriller song," and she's like, "I don't know who sang Thriller." I'd be like, "You embarrass me." So
You're gonna be like Michael Jackson.
Michael
Fall
Jackson,
Out Boy.
you know these things exactly. You know these things. So yeah,
Comes home late, you're sitting in the armchairs like, I heard you disappointed me today. It's like,
You
Father,
didn't-
I'm so sorry.
you didn't know.
Father, I'm so sorry.
You didn't know what the Black Parade was.
Your
we
prin-
went
your,
over this.
your principal called me that you
principal
got
called.
stunted on, and then
You got stunted
and then
on.
you
No.
fought the other student because you got stunted on.
No
Why
child
are
of
you
mine.
allowing yourself this?
No child of mine will get stunted on.
None.
I mean, I trust you're in a school district that ideally that wouldn't happen, but who knows in 10 years.
I mean, I was in a school district. You know, it's really funny because I was in a school district that I was the weird one listening to all these kind of things, and all of a sudden now I'm seeing like on Facebook the nostalgia of like I'm like, so this is really like I was having shows with some of these bands, and I was telling people, come to Mojo's, come to these things, Sonic Portrait, do these things. And I was like, ew. And now we're like, oh my God, I love Blink-182. Oh my God, I have to see the My Chemical Romance. I was like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
It's like, why was I bullied? Why did I go through all this
literally
suffering?
bullied for this stuff. I'm not even kidding. Like, there was a period of time where I didn't wear my Fall Out Boy shirt. I had like a when they did the Wear the Wild Things tour.
Yeah.
When Flame My Tees was on that tour, and I didn't wear it for like a few years because I was like, every time I did, it was like, do you listen to Fall Out Boy? I was like, don't you listen to like, I don't even know what was big at the time. Like what was Black Eyed Peas? I guess I don't know what was the. And I was you know,
there's a lot of hip hop at the time.
Yeah, it was like. I mean, Kesha was probably blowing up at the time. I mean, but that was like the time where I was like, okay, we're kind of cool with both Kesha and us. Like that was our handshake where like the scene kids and the rap kids came together. But
everyone got Kesha. It was like this is the easiest
it's
thing.
like
to
we
get.
all had to like have that moment. That was like Kesha was big when I was in high school, so I was like, yeah, we all get Kesha. But they're like, oh, but you listen to Hollywood Undead. It's like,
dang it.
like
I do actually. Yeah, that's so funny.
Kesha, another artist that did not exist when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Tragic.
This fucking sucks.
You really didn't have that pivotal like growth developmental moment. I'm so
did.
sorry.
It was funny about like the Fall Out Boy and getting made fun of for it was like I wasn't into Fall Out Boy because I was too into like the Used and My Chem.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, yo, fuck Fall Out Boy. This shit's like too poppy.
Yeah.
Like you got to be into like the real like depressing shit.
Right.
We're all black and all this. And then like the popular kids like wanted to like hang out with me because they're like, no, I love Fall Out Boy. I love all these bands and like you're into those, right? And I'm like, no, fuck Fall Out Boy. I fucking hate that band.
Wow, you were like
Yep.
hating
the
even
worst.
the sub.
I hate
the sub. Like, you were in like a whole other sub, which I love the Used too. My wife, that's her favorite band of all time is the Used, and My Chem and all that stuff too. But it's so funny.
I like literally made no friends in that. And then I went to school with Oktoberfall and they got signed to, I think, Fuel by Ramen by Fall Out Boy.
Oh,
like,
wow.
They were friends with Pat and Pete.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they got signed and I was like, yeah, fuck all these bands. Like, fuck every band on that label. And then Panic at the Disco came out and I was like, you know what? I might need to revisit some of this. I might need to come back and see what's going on over
Your
here.
gateway drug.
Yeah,
That's
Oktoberfall still sucked. Oktoberfall was not good, but I was just a hater because I knew them, and I was like, no, if it's not me, then it shouldn't be happening.
I got that. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah,
I get that.
as a teenager, and then I grew up, and I'm like, no, there's a lot of really good music. And I mean, there's plenty of bands now where I'm just like, I'm respecting you more than I ever have.
Yeah,
because now I'm like more into that nostalgia side of it.
Right.
Oh, I really didn't give this band its due time and due energy when they were coming out and when this album existed. So it's a good time with this When We Were Young Fest, and now I get to like re-explore all these old records.
No, and I like you guys doing the reviews of them and checking those out. I've actually, because I've been doing more cover gigs and like I'm in a wedding band and stuff like that, I'm actually having that realization with like, not in the scene, but like I never really like listened to like Billy Joel before. Mm-hmm. And like listening to his lyrics, I was like, wait a minute, I actually think this is amazing. And then like, I mean, I understood and I appreciated Fleetwood Mac, but it was like, oh my God, like, it was like these classics that like I never really got into when I was younger. And I think that, and I hope that, like my daughter will one day be able to listen to it and go, wow, these were awesome. These songs that you guys listened to were awesome. I'm sure there's going to be some artists that she likes. Honestly, if she likes like an Olivia Rodrigo or like a Harry Styles, I would be so happy. Yeah. But if she comes home and she's like, what's that? Like, there's like this underground rapper Ian or some shit that
Ian Dior?
No.
I was gonna say Ian Dior. Fuck.
No. He like is this like white suburb kid that does like underground rap that's like blowing up on like Lyrical Lemonade.
He's like so suburbs.
Yeah, and it's just like and there's some stuff that I hear. I'm like, man, I would be so upset if my daughter comes home listening to like, you can listen to whatever music you like, but
that
you gotta
absolutely
be good.
not.
It just gotta be good. Like I just want don't listen to crap music.
The more you try to train it into them, though, the more I'm like my dad tried to get me into a lot of like 80s pop, which I do like. And I enjoyed it, but I was like, this is your thing. I need my own thing. It took me a while to find what my thing was. And so I'm like, the more you try to push it, so you might have to go like, I don't know, that My Chem band, like they're whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
See what
let's
they
see.
do. See what
I
happens.
hated them. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
probably
they're like
right.
kind of okay.
You're probably right. That's actually how.
They're like, you know, I got tired of hearing this. I'm not okay too much.
Yeah,
Like,
It's not that good. See what you do. Maybe try it out. See what you.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah.
So from memory, without the list of 57 records in front of you,
Yeah.
what are some records that you think your daughter needs to listen to that are being played when we were young?
Oh, I mean, for sure. Well, I don't know what Fall Out Boy is going to play. It sounds like they're going to do a mixture of it, but like the albums that really like defined me as like just a kid growing up in music would 100% been The Black Parade. Would 100% been Lessons in Romantics. From Under a Cork Tree was a massive thing for me. What else? Yeah, like you just said, is the Used is going to be on there,
Yep.
and they're
Yeah,
doing
in Love and Death.
yeah, great. Actually, to be honest with you, I really got into the Used because of The Bird and the Worm. But that's where like that was like 2007.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like really going into that stuff, and so that would have been really interesting. But my wife's favorite record is that record, and so I'd have to say that as well. Page Avenue.
Page
Yeah.
Avenue.
They do a Page Avenue. They have to do that one. And then what is A Day to Remember doing? They're doing.
They're doing Homesick.
Yeah, I would have to say Homesick was a big one. Honestly, this is kind of a goofy one that's kind of fun. I don't know how many people would say this, but Don't You Fake It, by the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Yes.
That record.
She'll say it.
I'll say I love that
That
record,
record
so much.
is one of my like all time. That
I heard they
did so much.
I think they did an album play for that one or one
Yeah,
of their
we
other
actually,
ones.
we actually.
Were we
I
at the
don't wanna-
same show maybe?
No, we actually played it. So I'm not gonna. It was at the Wire in Berwyn, like when they
was.
first. But they've
Yeah,
done
it
like
was.
the 10-year anniversary, the 15-year anniversary, the
I
17-year anniversary.
I remember. I think I saw them at Mojo's when
Okay,
they
yeah.
did it.
Yes.
So when we did it, they did it at the Wire in Berwyn, and I mean like that record front to back for me was so pivotal. But Lesson Romantics,
Yeah.
that like I'm like she's listening to that now. Like in the womb, we were like I was putting like headphones on in the Black Parade. Those top for me. I mean,
Yeah.
lyrically, melodically, the back and forth, the different kind of vocals. Like there's so many things that I need her to learn about from that.
We because of that review that we did for Lesson in Romantics, Spotify was like, "Hey, just so you know, Mayday Parade's re-releasing the vinyl," and I was like, "I will have that."
I already
so thank
I
you.
was like, that's one of those.
I was like,
have
I
to
didn't have it. I'm like,
That's
I
awesome.
need it
That's really cool.
now.
That they did.
So that's coming in
But
September.
if I don't know if Black Parade if they weren't they doing one like in the fake reunion in like what was it 2017 where everyone thought that My Chemical Romance was coming back and then they did like just the
Yep.
They did the one reunion
Re-
show.
no,
Well, they
they,
didn't even do- they
re-released
just re-
the vinyl. So
the vinyl,
they
and I
made like a
didn't
whole
grab
thing
it at that time.
Yeah.
And then they came back in I think 2020 but didn't play their first show in like 2022 or something
They
like that.
did
Was it?
they did their reunion show in 2019 in LA.
Well, okay.
So I was there for that one. So
Stop
I'm right.
it! You didn't have to add that in there.
She's like and so
And
just
I was
She throws it in
there.
every time.
But then they came back and then they started playing after
and more
COVID.
after that.
Yeah.
I saw him at Black Parade, and you know, I wasn't like extremely stoked about the like. I felt like their Riot Fest. They say I saw him at Black Parade. I saw him at Riot Fest.
Well,
and
the
I
Black Parade
felt-
tour too
yeah,
happened way back in the
Yeah,
day.
well, I did see that one when they did it front to back. But the Riot Fest set, I felt like it was almost like, what do you want to play? Let's play this one. No, what do you want to play?
Yeah.
You know, like, and so and also they stopped like a billion times because
Yep.
people were literally
People are
dying.
insane.
So I get it, like, and so it just, but it felt like the flow was like, it's like, come on,
Yeah.
and I was all on the back, but I'm really hoping for. Honestly, when we were Young Fest, as much as I love Fall Out Boy and one of the top, I have to go see them do the Black Parade. And if they're playing, if Fall Out Boy and My Chem are playing at the same time, it's going to be My Chem.
I think they'll
They
probably
should be
be
back
side
to
by
back, yeah.
side.
Yeah, it's
they'll
probably-
do when we went the first year, it was literally like here's Paramore, here's Bring Me the Horizon, here's
Oh, wait. So
A
you
Day
got
to
the chance
Remember.
to see both of them?
Because
Yeah.
they're
The
both
main-
at the
two
big
main
stage.
stages.
They're
Oh my
right
God, that is so
there.
So
exciting.
kind of
I
like
mean,
how Riot Fest is, where you're like seeing the two main
Yeah.
stages,
So
and you can
if you
stand in
just
one spot and see
stay-
both bands. Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear
and
that.
like
Yeah.
me and my friends stayed there for 4 hours
Yeah.
because it was just back. Unfortunately, we had to sit through this is unpopular opinion, Bright Eyes.
It's not
Yeah.
unpopular.
That
at
was
all.
like the most
It was a rough
insane
set.
like
I can see that
talking
being- I can
that
see that
happened,
being-
and everyone was like, "I'm really EP now. I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with this." And then they're like, "A Day to Remember." I'm like, "Who book them.
That
here,
is wild.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
But like me and my friends were there for like 4 hours going back and forth. And we just ended up finding, because there were just way too many people. It was
Yeah.
also the first year. So everyone's kind of like, where do I go?
Yeah.
So we ended up just sitting in the back, getting food and drinks, and just like sitting down and being
Yeah.
like, yay. And then we would like move up a little bit for
Yeah.
like my chem.
Yeah.
We had like this own little baby push pit in the back
Yeah.
with everyone.
That's good.
It was fine. It was great. We had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like if anything, that's what will
That's
happen.
that's actually really exciting. Speaking of Paramore, Riot would be a record that my daughter absolutely has to listen
Yeah.
to. That was another one that really changed a lot for me. And American Idiot, which I am seeing them do that with
Oh, yeah.
Dookie at Wrigley
Oh,
Field.
we will be there too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one that 100%. That I mean, I'm like my first few bands. We were just like an American Idiot cover band. Like we were called American Riot. So like,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
no,
We do Paramore and Green Day.
yeah, exactly. That's honestly what we did. And you know, it's funny, and we even bring that up, is that like this one time there was like a radio station that was like talking about Marina City, and they literally said, Marina City, they're like a Green Day cover band. And I was like, bro, what?
You're like, hello?
Like, I mean, like, even though that I love Green Day, which Green Day version is doing these songs? Like, I was like, but either way, I guess, you know, whatever you like, whatever you think Marina City is for you to have. But when you go see a show, where are you sitting or where are you standing at now? I don't know how old you are, but when you go see a show, are you up against the barricade? Are you in the middle as close as possible?
Liz is in the pit.
Or are you
I'm in the pit.
Yeah, where
Depending
you-
on the show, I'm in the
Yeah,
pit.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
interesting.
in the pit or I'm on the side, unless like we get some type of like access, and then we'll
Which we
sit.
try because I'm fucking old.
Yeah,
And
he
I'm
likes
like,
to
I don't
sit.
wanna be,
His old bones, like, just
I
can't
want
do
to be
it
in the
anymore.
back by the bar. I want to be able to get a drink whenever I want one.
That's interesting, yeah.
I want to be the most comfortable I can.
Yeah.
And I want to hear it well. I want to see what they're doing on stage.
Yeah.
I want to see the performance. Like, I mean, as a performer as well,
Right.
I'm like, I want to see what you're doing. I want to see
Yeah.
what you're bringing to this.
Absolutely.
Earlier this year, we saw Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't
I
there.
wasn't there, but our friend
me
Candace
and one of our
was.
friends went, and I was like, Jeff Rickley is still one of the best frontman
That's awesome.
like I've ever seen. And I was like, holy shit, he's like still putting so much energy and passion into this. And I'm like, if I was in the pit right now, I'd be focused on like saving myself.
It's so
And like
funny.
I want to see Jeff Rickley like sing every note like
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah.
And like be all over that stage and putting his all into something that is like 20 years old.
No, I 100% agree. It's so interesting. And maybe, again, age is a different thing. But younger, I had to be in the act. I had to make sure that I couldn't breathe. I needed like everything
Yeah.
to be just insane.
Yeah.
And now I'm exactly what you like. My favorite spot is up against the soundboard. So wherever
Yeah.
the sound guy is listening to, or whatever the sound person, if I'm up against that and I can lean back a little bit on that and just watch, and I'm just like, again, I'm just engrossed into what they're doing. Everything. Ooh, the bass player missed that note, or like that was an interesting fill. I didn't hear that one on the record. You know,
Yep.
like I am. Oh, I love the light show there. And I feel like an old man for it, but I get so much excited. And then when I'm driving home and I'm telling Lindsay, I was like, man, did you see this one part? She's like, I don't know. I was just like singing along. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, like really, I even if like we saw a band recently that I wasn't that big of a fan of. I'm not really a massive country fan,
Sure.
which I mean, I would assume that's what this space. It's a clean. That's a safe space
We're
to say
actually
that. Right here.
transitioning into country
Yeah,
social
we're
club.
actually
Yeah,
like
so-
going with the trend of alt country because
Yeah.
we want to be
Yeah.
the next emo alt country podcast
Yeah.
out there.
This is-
Actually,
This is the Jelly Roll podcast now.
So I'm really not a big fan of country, but I went and a buddy of mine was playing, and the band was absolutely incredible, and I could appreciate it as just a musician of being like, wow, like just and I after he got off, he's like, I saw you in the crowd, and I was like, you know, I apologize because you probably saw me just going. Like just looking at him, just like dead face and like not emotion, but really I enjoyed it so much. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just really funny to see that. But yeah, that's what getting old is like.
Is it so when you see a band and you're like, I loved what they did here, and you're driving home, are you thinking like, how can I steal that?
Yes.
How can I copy that from
%.
my band?
I'm telling you, we are a hodgepodge of our influences. I mean, I remember I learned so much from Dave Grohl when I got a chance to see him when he broke his leg on that tour. He
Yeah.
broke his leg at Wrigley Field, and how much he gave, and how much personality, and like you forget that he was sitting in the chair. The things that he did, I use all the time.
Yep.
The things, anytime I see a great thing, I'm like, guys, this is something that I think we should try to do our own way. 100%. I am a sponge in those things. Yeah.
It's like, I don't think it's a bad thing to copy people who are like at the peak of the game.
Yeah.
In whatever capacity. It could be like, this is the, Taylor Swift being the biggest selling artist of all time right now. It's like, okay, I'm gonna steal whatever she does because it's like, it's making her money, and what's she gonna do? Find me?
Right.
She will. But also, Taylor, find me? Question mark? I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, please.
Please. Write a song about me.
Oh my God.
I can be your second Maddie Healy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, Brian.
I'm thinking about letting my hair get shitty. Thinking about getting a foot shorter. So talking shit about Maddie Healy. I love your band too. So fuck that.
That's actually a band that when I saw them live, I was like, it opened up. Them and Bleachers, actually, I saw them. We played the one-on-one picnic.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Or whatever it was. Yeah, picnic at the time. And they did it. And I mean, that was back to back. And I was like, what? Like, I barely even listened to them at the time, but it was like, and sorry, go ahead and finish your thought. Because
I mean, even with the 1975, like I saw them and I said, this is the band. This is what everybody wants to do. This is why everyone's stealing it. Because like the thing that they're doing is just so like especially for like emo and alternative scene, it's like they're doing like a band, but they're doing it in a way that like no one else in our scene is doing until everybody saw the 1975 and said, I'm just gonna do the 1975 if that's cool.
Yeah. So yes. So there's stealing, and well, they always say like a great artist steals, right? But like they're stealing and then just being inspired by it. So like if it's like I really like this idea that they did, how can we make our Bug's Life and Ants, right?
Oh my
so
God.
it's like it's like I saw Bug's Life and I'm like, I'm gonna make Ants, and it's gonna be a completely different story, but it's like, whatever, and I'm not gonna make a Bug's Life 2. You know, I don't want to be Matty Healy, but I like some of the things that he's done, so I want to like be inspired by that, and I'm inspired by a hodgepodge of Prince and Michael Jackson too, and take those things as well. So be your own, and actually that's what's great is that the other guys, Eric and Toter, like the three of us really don't listen to the same music. We have like a few artists that we kind of like the Venn diagram kind of goes over, but in reality, like Toter's favorite band is Metallica and like hard stuff. The dude just listens to like hard, heavy rock, heavy metal, Godsmack, Lamb of God, not even Godsmack, Lamb of God.
Oh, we're getting into different territory now.
Yeah, we're going there.
He stands alone.
Dude. Like, I mean, like if we're driving in the van, like recently, if I'm driving, we got Noah Khan on, and then we got like, probably the 1975 and Fall Out Boy and stuff like that. And then when Eric's driving, it's 9 Inch Nails, and it's like Queens of Stone Age, and it's LCD sound system. And then if he's driving, if Toto's driving, it's Metallica, it's Lamb of God, and it's like, so it's like all these different things.
Yeah.
But we all appreciate different styles of music, and then we go, okay, where can we bring that into the band? So if I'm inspired by the 1975 and I bring that to the band, they're like, I don't know what that is, but like here's this thing that I did from Lamb of God that I think if we can bring that together, we could do something kind of cool.
Yep.
You know?
And we kind of hear like a lot of the variety of influences too with your new single "I'm So Broke" as well.
That was a good transition. I'm gonna compliment it.
That was awesome.
Well, thank you.
That
I went to
transition.
school
Good
for
job.
7 years to be able to do this smoothie. Thank you.
I went to school for 0 years and I did it. So what's up now?
You got there.
Turns
you
out
got there after
some
a
of us
few
are
years.
naturally
Everyone has their own journey.
Listen, you got there after a few years.
Some of us are naturally talented.
But tell us a little bit more about that,
Yeah.
because we do hear that variety of influence in this single.
Well, I'm really happy that you said that, because what's been really exciting. I mentioned before we were a 6-piece. Okay, I love the other half, the past half a lot. We talk to them all the time. Actually, we have a group chat there. I probably got a text from that right now as I'm talking to you guys.
Love it.
But it's just like semi-retired stuff like that. Why I bring that up is that for whatever reason, I felt like Toter has been able to really shine when there's like less guys, and like, oh, I'm going to bring this into the band. I'm going to bring this. And the three of us being able to work together has been really, really cool. And being able to find like, you're my missing piece, and talking when there's a lot of people in the room, there's like, maybe, someone doesn't talk. Someone doesn't do these things. But now that's like, just like this, the three of us right here, there is no fat to be cut. There's like, you're literally right here, you're exposed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been really cool, because our writing situation has been really, really smooth. And it's also been able to showcase what everyone does. Eric, is really the producer a lot in the band, and so a lot of the production stuff that you hear, he's really bringing those ideas outside of just the drums. Like the sounds of what we're going to do is him, and that comes from his Nine Inch Nails background, where you got like Totor's like, hey, this is gonna be a pop song, but I can bring in some guitar into this. I can bring in a little bit riffy stuff to do that and still be fun for me. And for me, again, with the 1975 is really interesting. That great transition again. What I love about his lyrics is sometimes they could be a little off the wall, and then also they kind of like talk a little bit about society. And I just felt like I'm kind of tired of. It's so funny. I'm kind of tired of writing so many love songs. In fact, I think it's funny that I say that because there's really not a love song in Marina City at all. But I often think that it could be cool to do something different. And I just felt like with I'm So Broke, him and Noah Khan, I was like listening to their lyrics a lot. And I was like, where can I like fit things that may be a little bit more tongue in cheek, a little bit more. And obviously I'm a big Fall Out Boy fan. And sometimes like it's not super serious. And so I thought that in this song, was a good opportunity that it feels poppy. And so why don't we kind of like stab a little bit at potentially the demographic that would always like make fun of ourselves for the the poppiness of it. So, it feels like oftentimes there are people that flaunt all these things that they do, whether it's I have these rich things or they flaunt that they give all this charity work but it's really not charity. Like corporations are like, do you want to round up your nearest dollar kind of thing?
And they
or
get
like,
that tax write-off at the end.
Tax write-off at the end. Or like they don't do anything to really like help or donate to LGBTQ plus A, but they will do like, they'll change their profile photo to the rainbow flag. And so like, there's these things that we talk about in the song that makes like, I'm not really necessarily saying like, screw you, fuck you on it, but it's more like, isn't it kind of funny that we have like a soy macchiato that just has a rainbow flag on it and like nothing else? Like that's your contribute. That's what you contribute to like being charitable or like, or I got this really, really over expensive toast with avocado. And I guess maybe it saves a humpback's life if I like donate to the nearest dollar kind of thing. And I just think it's, or people don't date someone because of their horoscope. Like, they're giving me, I'm not racist, but I mean, honestly, I'm not going to date someone that's a Gemini. Like, I just think
I know. I stopped when I was listening. I was like, what?
I think it's just kind of funny. These contradictions as a society, not necessarily as an individual person, but just what we do. Like I got all these glamour glitz and stuff like that, but I don't know one person who would tell me that they're rich. Like everyone that I know is broke, but like we also have some really nice things, but we just, maybe we think we're broke or whatever the case is, or we go to weddings of, we talk shit about people, especially our family, but we'll still go to their fucking wedding.
Yeah.
While we were even talking about how you aren't the hugest country fan. You were on Dan and Shay's team on The Voice.
That is so
and
funny.
they are big yeehaw boys. So
Yeah.
how did that kind of work when you were on the show?
Yeah, so I mean, look, like I appreciate just good music, and I think to me the reason why I'm not the biggest country fan is that typically I can't really relate to it because it's not from what I grew up in, and it's not the culture that I'm kind of from. So, but there are some country songs which Dan and Shay does actually a really good job in, where it's not. I mean, they barely are. They're like pop that has a little country twang to it, right? So being able to work with them was actually fairly easy. In fact, we've done a lot of similar things, like growing up in small venues, trying to like get people to turn their heads. And like we played South by Southwest, and they did the same thing. Like we were talking about different places that we played down south that they did. So we actually got along really, really well. And I mean, I get along with country. Honestly, I feel like I can get along with anybody that's not a jerk. But with that being said, Dan and Shay, I appreciate them so much for taking a chance on me and giving the opportunity to national attention and help with the band and help with me grow my career. Like I said, I'm a full-time musician now, and it's in different avenues that maybe I didn't think I would have prior to maybe like 10 years ago. But either way, this is the dream. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I'm like, I wish I could do it without having to go on The Voice. But
Well, I will say this.
I'm never gonna. Yeah.
I wouldn't give The Voice all the credit that I was able
I was
to
about to say,
do that.
you've been around the block
Yeah,
for a bit.
been here.
would say, look,
so.
this is the thing about singing shows, and I talk about this a lot. Like, there was times where, like, I remember, I did American Idol as well, and I remember specifically when I was on American Idol, I was going home the same time this like 17-year-old was going home, and he was crying, just like bawling, and I felt bad. I mean, like, I was trying to comfort him, and I was like, he's like, this is it. I mean, I thought I was gonna be. I've always dreamed of this moment. I thought this was it, and I was telling him, I was like, look, man, like, there's not gonna be a big break. Like, no one has, like, that's not a thing. What ends up happening is that you have little breaks. You have break A, break B, break C, break D that gets you there. And like, this is just a moment of a stepping stone and just a feather in your cap, another resume builder of something that you can do to do that. You don't need American Idol, The Voice, and all those things to be a huge artist. In fact, 99.99999% of the music industry is huge from that and almost in spite of it. But what you need to do is connect with fans and give them a reason to support you. And if you do that, you can create a fan base and actually build up as a career. So The Voice and American Idol and even TikTok in some ways of going viral are all just like stepping stones, all just like cool opportunities that we've been able to fortunately be able to do to build a fan base. Just another little step to get that. And I think the question is like, why hasn't The Voice really broken a lot of artists afterwards? Why haven't we heard a lot of people? And I think honestly, the reason is that typically the people that go on the show bank too much of the show is going to take me to
do it for
the
me.
stardom.
Yeah. I think that one nice thing about the death of the monoculture, which again is the nerdiest way I can say it, but also like there was a time when American Idol was the show, and it's like Kelly Clarkson and Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard are like making it. I didn't add Justin Guarini in there for a reason. He knows what he did. But if you are if it's the only show on the block and you're watching it and you see these artists and these singers and everybody's watching the show, of course that is going to make a big artist out of it. Of course, Kelly Clarkson's going to be gigantic, and I love Kelly Clarkson. So
same.
I'm glad that it worked for her. Because goddamn, I think life would be very different without Kelly Clarkson in the music industry.
Straight up love her music. Your life would suck without her?
My life would suck without her.
That's great.
Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Lizzie.
No problem.
I'm going to give you points for that one.
Man, these transitions are great.
I know. Damn, school works. Not for me. So, but I think that because now it's like, well, we're trying to make this giant artist from the show, and everyone's like, I don't listen to that music, and I don't have to because I have bands that are in my community that I love. And I think it's like taking it from like we are at the top of the game, we are the biggest thing in the world, and bringing it down to like, no, I just know the people in my neighborhood. And bands are like, I don't need to be on the level of like the entirety of the country knows me. I can just have everybody in the state know me or the city know me,
just
or
in my corner.
Go on like small tours and like play with bands that I love being out with. And it's not a lot of money, but it's enough that I'm like happy to be doing it. I guess.
That's brilliant. And honestly, there's a lot of people. I feel like the normal person goes, you're either Taylor Swift big or you're a struggling artist, and it's like there's no in between for like the typical population. And like, what is making it? That's like, what is success, right? And so like, I think it's funny when one of my favorite burger places is called Crusade Burgers, and they're in Yorkville. Okay, that place is pretty successful in my eyes. It's amazing. People are always trying to get in there. It's great, but it's not McDonald's. So is it not successful then? Because the general public thinks that if you're not Taylor Swift, then you're not successful, even though they got their own corner of the world that they do really, really well in. And I just think that for whatever reason, the music industry or the music business is constant like because of that general stigma, it fucks with artists thinking like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not big enough. And like all I ever wanted when I was a kid was like, oh, I would love to hear my song on the radio. Okay, cool. Oh, I would love to be on TV. Okay, cool. And it's like I got these little things, and it's still like, man, I just need a Grammy. And then when one day I win a Grammy, hopefully, or a Grammy winner goes, I just need 2 Grammys. Then I can really show that it wasn't a one time thing.
Yeah,
I need an
EGOT set,
now.
and you're like, homie, where do we go from here?
It's just this constant like your goalpost keeps getting pushed back farther and farther. There's a reason. I mean, even in the status of Taylor Swift, for whatever reason, Taylor Swift feels like, you know what? I can't let Billie Eilish have the #1 album of the year or the week. I need to release another deluxe version of my album.
And it's like no one needs to do this, and I think this has been harmed a lot by the TikTokification of everything, and also just like people being so much more online. I mean, Chappell Roan is like one of the largest indie artists at this moment, and people are literally going on now saying there's no way she could be this big on her own independently. She has to be an industry plant, and people are like, no, she just decided to put everything into it. She said, if I'm not big within like a year or two, I'm going to go back to grad school, you know, tale as old as time.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to go from there. And people are literally bending over backwards, breaking their backs to say otherwise because she's independent for the most part.
I will say this. I was actually part of the Chappell Roan train, the company I worked for. I'm sure you guys probably heard the actual downfall of SCP merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I literally was the 6th employee to ever work there and was there up until I got the phone call at a Christmas party that everything shut down.
Oh my God.
That is but we were Chappell Roan. I found Chappell Roan for the merch company. I brought her in. And the thing that I really like, my job was to find artists and bring them in with the company and do merchandise for them. So when I brought her in, she was doing Shuba like rooms.
Yeah.
And then she did Sub T, and I went to go see her at Sub T. And what was awesome about her is exactly what we're talking about, is that she was cultivating a fan base. What she would do is that she would have her openers were actually drag queens that would come and perform.
Sick.
And then everything was circled around that because the drag queens would pump up the crowd so insane. I thought it was a brilliant idea to have that and just like get everyone super, super pumped up like you're at a drag show. And then she comes out and everyone's already super warmed up and ready to go and rock and roll. And then it just gets like, I saw this great show, you got to go see it. And then all of a sudden she just keeps building and building and building. And now you just saw her at the Governor's Ball.
Yeah.
That's absolutely massive. And it's again, maybe I'm sure TikTok and everything goes, but it was cultivating something. She wanted to sell a vinyl that was a double vinyl, and it was like an incredible, it had all these like inserts and like these interactive things on this vinyl. And she wanted to sell it for like, I think it was maybe $70, $80. No, it was actually, I'm sorry, it was like $115 or something like that. And at the time, she hadn't sold anything more than like $40. And we were fighting back, like, no, we're not selling these, because at the time they wanted us to like purchase it and like we would take all these things, and we're like, we're not going to purchase like all this vinyl and then no one buys this. Yeah. And she's like, I'm telling you, it's going to sell out. Within like the first like 3 hours, it sold like 800 vinyl at 115 something, maybe even more.
And this was what, last year probably?
This was last year.
Yeah.
This was last year. But I'm telling you, before that, she was struggling to sell a $25 T-shirt. And what I was kind of saying is that she put in a hard quality item that people had to get. I had to use this, and she connected with her fan base, gave them a reason to buy, and made that happen. In fact, going back to Marina City, because that's the whole reason why you're.
We always talk about things we love. You know,
the thing with Marina City is like we have this track jacket. That in the back it has like this simulation logo from our most recent EP, and we were selling that for $65, and everyone's like, a local band selling $65? Are you fucking kidding me right now? And that sold out 3 times. We had to keep doing it over and over while our $25 T-shirt was struggling to sell, because oftentimes what happens is that quality, people want that quality, and it's like I want to invest into that too, and they want to invest in the band and they want to have quality in the band. We did a Kickstarter. We raised $37,000 in a Kickstarter. And a lot of people, my old professors at Columbia College were like, I'm freaking out that you're doing this. There's no way in hell you're going to be able to get that. How did you do that? How did you pass your thing? And we connected with our audience. We gave them a reason to buy, and we realized that people want to invest in you. When you go ask someone, I need help and do this, and I'm gonna give you all these. You know, we're gonna take you out to our favorite restaurants. We're gonna play a show in your backyard. We're gonna do these things. People generally want to invest into projects they believe in and feel like they're part of. And Marina City does it in a way smaller scale than Chappell Roan, but Chappell Roan does it, and you can see it now.
I think it just
Taylor
really
Swift
comes back to just like being a good person and
Yeah.
like making time for your audience,
Yeah.
because that's how you build upon it.
Yeah.
Is if you're somebody who's like, oh, I'm a local band, but then you act like your shit don't stank.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I want you guys to buy this $65
Right,
jacket.
right.
And you're like, why aren't these selling? And it's
Right.
only like limited to 50.
Right.
And they're looking at everybody else. They're like, oh, why does this happen? It's like, well, these people
Right.
know how to interact with audiences. They have a good personality.
Yeah.
And they're actually connecting with people in a different way.
And I think, there's always this argument, can you separate art from the person? And there's some people that can do that when they're listening to Chris Brown, and then there's other people that can't. And it's like, right now in this day and age, people, as much as this is the music business, this is the brand business. And it's like probably even more so, and for better or for worse. And if you suck as a person, like the people don't want to listen to you. They don't want to support you,
What do you? If you're a terrible person, what are you saying with your music anyway? Is
That's
how
true.
I look at it. Like, if you got a really good message with your music, you're probably a good person. Like, we got these 6 questions.
Yeah, we have these 6
Go ahead.
questions.
We're having a fucking baller episode, so I'm
glad.
I don't want to
I
like.
think this is fun.
Yeah,
I really
this is
appreciate
great.
you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
But we'll ask our 6 questions.
on.
We'll go from there. What is the most emo song you are listening to right now?
Wow. The most emo song that I'm listening to right now is probably I think it's basically. Have you listened to that Noah Khan record?
No, I haven't.
That's literally just the emoest record. Being country, not country, folk. And he has a song like "I'll Call Your Mom," and it's basically saying like, "Hey, you're struggling right now, and I'm going to take you to the hospital. I'm going to do these things, and I will call your mom and tell her everything that's happening." And it's just absolutely sad. So
the songs that I've heard,
Yeah.
Stick Season
Yeah.
and Dial Drunk,
Yeah.
I think is the other one. I'm like, these are just emo songs.
They're
This is
straight
clearly like an artist who grew up in this scene. In
Yeah.
many ways, like Post Malone was on
Yeah.
one. It's the same story. You grew up in the scene. You understood the lyrical ideas and the concepts behind it, and then just took it to a different genre that you also probably grew up with.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to make this out of the things that I am influenced
You know, it's
by.
actually really fascinating with him specifically is that he went and did a bunch of different co-writes. You know, the labels are like, you got to co-write this, you got to co-write this. And this record, he was like, you know what? I don't want to do any co-writes. I want to just do this by myself, and I just want to like just see what flows out. And look, it's the most personal,
Yep.
and that's what you need to do, right? And another artist that actually is in country that is basically a pop punk artist, but he just has a little twang to it is Mitchell Tenpenny. And he was on a record with State Champs, and the most recent State Champs record, I think he does a feature on it.
Yeah.
And that if you ever listen to his music, it's literally pop punk with like maybe a little fiddle in the background. It's actually awesome.
Oh, so Yellow Card.
Yeah, it's over. But like,
But fiddle.
But
Not-
fiddle,
But fiddle,
yeah.
fiddle,
not
fiddle.
violent.
Okay.
yeah. But anyways, go
different
ahead.
type of string section.
All right. So our next question, this may be a repeat of what we already said, but this part will be cut up for
Yeah.
TikTok. What was the inspiration for I'm So Broke?
Yeah. The inspiration for I'm So Broke was just a look at where we're at as like a society and seeing all the funny things that we do. Just like the funny, maybe contrarian things or whatever the case is. Just like, yeah, isn't it goofy that we do this? Or we say this, but we do this instead. Or like, we think this is good, but we actually, it's just kind of funny. And so I just think that it's just, I wouldn't really take it super seriously, just more like poking fun at almost everybody that is part of what 2024 society is.
Nice.
Yeah. Nothing to add. All right. Are you? Obviously, growing up in Chicago area,
Yeah.
are you from the suburbs originally, or in?
I'm from Chicago originally.
Okay.
I'm an OG. I was born in Portage Park.
Okay.
And then I moved to South Loop, and then Plainfield. So live in Plainfield. I will say that like I've had so many monumental moments in Plainfield that I would just rep Plainfield as like this is my place. But I will say that like I don't necessarily feel like Plainfield reps me that well. So like I feel like no one ever like it's kind of funny that like after The Voice I try to go play like a little like a bar in Plainfield and like they're like nah, and I was like
No, thank you.
Chicago is like where we have all the gigs and do everything.
Yeah.
So just go back to the homeland.
Yeah, I know. I have a friend who lives in Plainfield who's trying to. I haven't been to Plainfield since I went to one of the Catholic schools out there in 5th grade. So
What? You went to like what, St. Mary's?
Yeah. No, sorry. It was third grade. I went there for a year, and then my parents put me into a St. Dominic's in Bolingbrook.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Wow,
so I really haven't ventured out that way in a really long
Yeah.
time. But my friend who lives in, he grew up in Plainfield, now he lives in like St. Charles, Geneva area currently. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, like we're more than just a one street town now, like in our downtown area. I'm like, you have a downtown?
They
and
really
he's like,
do.
yeah, we have. He's like, basically, we do have 2 streets. I'm like, wow, that's so
built a
crazy. I'm
second
so
street.
happy for you.
It is exactly what it sounds like, Plainfield. But I will say that the downtown's got an incredible ice cream shop called Hazel Marie's. So I
He
will
did
rep
tell
that
me
till I
about
die.
that.
Yeah, I'll rep that till I die, though. That Hazel Marie's is shout out to them. Yeah.
That's all I know about Plainfield
Yeah.
right now.
Wow. I was thinking about it because a guy like hit me up on, I think, Facebook like way back in the day, and he's like, "Oh, I've got this band. We're looking for a singer, and but we practice in Plainfield." And I'm like, "I don't think I can get out to Plainfield, but we'll try."
Do you live out here?
Yeah.
Have you always lived out in Chicago, is what I meant to say?
I'm OG because
Okay.
I was born here, but I grew up in Des Plaines.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think at the time I was either in Des Plaines or Palatine.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's-
I moved to Palatine after college, and then
Yeah.
moved to the city in like 2010,
Yeah.
11, somewhere around there.
Yeah, my brother's actually a firefighter in Palatine now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so he lives in Plainfield right now, but it's a little bit of a drive for him to keep going back
Yeah.
and forth. So yeah, that would have been tough.
Like, I don't know if this band's gonna work out. You're too far.
I mean, yeah, Toter, he lives in Arlington Heights, and he always had trouble coming to practice in Plainfield. We've always rehearsed in Plainfield as much as possible, but he did it, and it worked out. But yeah, I mean, I understand we're in the middle of nowhere. That's what it's called.
It's Plainfield.
It's Plainfield.
Well, the next question you can answer either one, however you want to answer. What is the local scene like where you live? So here in Chicago, or where you grew up in the burbs?
No, I'll definitely say Chicago. Plainfield,
Yeah.
I won't really call that. I won't really call that. Chicago, I'm actually really excited about where it's. Chicago has been like, it's always peaks and valleys, right? I mean, we had the explosion with the Real Friends and Knuckle Pucks and everyone there. But like, look at like right now, it's been really cool with like Friday Pilots Club and Capital Soiree, and like Austin was doing really great stuff, Action Adventure, and then you got Fluorescence, and you got, I mean, like I can keep going on and on and on about all the Chicago bands that are, Flowers is doing some really cool stuff that I really, really like everything about it. So I'm really and what's awesome about it is that it's not just straight up pop punk. It's like rock and it's pop and it's like, so there's a little bit of a melting pot. And I think that also comes from the Spotify, TikTok culture world that we're in, that everyone can, like we were talking about earlier. But I'm really, the Axe and the Hatchet Men, if you're like a folky kind of indie thing, like all these acts are really, really doing well right now. And I'm really excited to build that. Bridget Calls Me Baby.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell did that band come from?
I know. I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, this is pretty
Like,
good. Then
well,
I'm
I'm
in
just
Chicago.
like-
I'm like, no, you're
Yeah,
not.
like
I was
literally,
like, no,
they're
you're
like,
not.
one day I never heard of this band ever, and then on Lollapalooza, and then all these other things. So it's like all these. We can just sit here, and I can just like how bros just sit here and just name like football players. I could just sit here and just name local bands to you that I'm like, this is actually really cool of what's kind of building right now again. So.
I only go see the big bands, so I feel really disconnected from the local scene. We went to a local show the other night at B Kitchen, and I was like,
Who was that?
it was our friend Matt Stickram, and the opener for his like tour is this guy Hummus Vacuum. They
What a
both
name.
like have.
They're not local. They're just indie.
They're just
Okay.
indie, but they also have a lot of people on Instagram and TikTok who follow them.
Yeah.
Hummus Vacuum had a PowerPoint during his set.
Pretty
That's
cool.
amazing.
Doing
Pretty
like
sick. It
type
was
5
honestly
with it.
pretty
It was
sick.
really funny.
So he like when the next song.
Yeah, next,
Yeah.
and it would have like this really
He, like,
silly
tell
like
jokes
MS
and, like,
Paint,
yeah.
like goofy grab. It was
I
it was
assume, like-
honestly pretty. It was pretty rad.
A
It
name
had all
like
the
Hummus
song
Vacuum's
titles on
good.
it. Like
That's
so
awesome.
everyone like every song he played it had the song title on
That's
it. So it's like
awesome.
I know what the song's called now. I was like, that's brilliant. That's genius. I
That's
love
genius.
this. Matt Stickram, another friend of ours we had on the pod, he's just like a really good punk artist out
Yeah.
of Arizona. But they had locals everywhere they go. And so this is the first
cool.
time I've seen a couple bands from Chicago, Calico Plaid and Commit This to Memory. And I was like, like, I need to go to more local shows because like
Yeah.
there's 20 people here, but I'm having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
I
awesome.
saw Football Head recently at their show at Sleeping Village, and that was really fun
Yeah.
because it had also been because I mean I grew up like in the music scene. When I got to like the college radio, I was like I have to be in like
Yeah.
this indie music scene, and indie music was super big during
Yeah.
that time in like 2012 to 2017. So I'm seeing some of these bands come back that like broke up or just stopped playing. Like
Right. Like I said, you don't have to be Taylor Swift. You don't have to be a struggling artist. You could be in the middle. And I think that there's some cool stuff that's happening in Chicago that I'm excited to hopefully really blow up. And I hope that, I mean, for my sake, I hope that Marina City is part of that. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, we've been lucky enough that we've been doing this since 2012, and it's not easy to be doing it. I mean, you were in a band before, like, dude, doing this at now 12 years is, and even though that there's been lineup changes or whatever, the fact that we're doing it and we could still do things feels like, to me, an accomplishment that I'll always hold no matter whenever we hang it up on our terms,
Yeah.
So
that's why I broke it up so early.
yeah.
I was like, we're never gonna do that. I'm out. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Are there any other singles that are coming out soon?
Yeah. So this is just one of a few that we got coming out. So we have another one that's going to be released probably pretty quickly after this one, whatever that means. And then we have other ones that we're literally writing, recording at this moment. We do want to make it a project, an EP, or actually the dream is to do it as an LP. But honestly, with budgets and everyone's attention spans, that we may split it in half to a part 1 and part 2. But there will be more that will be coming, and I'm really excited. I mean, every artist says, I'm really excited. This is the best music we've ever written. But what I'm excited about, for me specifically, is that I often feel like with Marina City that I was writing a lot of songs that were always based off of me, or based off of maybe my friends, maybe the other guys in the band, maybe things that I saw. I kind of mentioned I'm So Broke is like that. But a lot of the music that we're writing right now is really vulnerable to me. And to a point where, like, I was releasing a solo record that I felt like I couldn't do this with Marina City because everything with Marina City is not, I felt guarded. And that's not necessarily because of the guys. It's maybe more me in my mind that, like, we're an entity that I need to, like, feel like write a little bit more that all the guys can, understand and feel like they can rep. But now I'm being selfish. No, but the guys are just like, yo, like, write you, So I'm excited about what that. I have a lot to say. I mean, turning 30, becoming a father, becoming a husband, losing your job, finding a new career, doing all those things. There's a lot of life that has happened that it feels like I can't not say anymore.
What's it like to turn 30 again?
I'll let you know in December.
Fuck off. Everyone with the light in their eyes, I'm snuffing it out.
We were talking with our friend last week. He's like, you're going to turn 30. Then he was like, him and my other friend were like, no, it's going to be so good. I'm like, no, I think it'll be good with everything going on.
But we're like, yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
I'm like, everybody's freaking out about turning 30, all this shit. And I'm like, 30, like me and our friend we're almost 40. And we're like, yeah, like I had money in my 30s.
Yeah.
Like I was able to do things in my 30s. I gave way less of a shit about all the things that were like really negative or like how people treated me or talked to me. Yeah. I was like, I'm letting all that go. I want to do the fun stuff. I'm in my 30s and I can finally do all the fun stuff that I was way too broke and drunk in my 20s to do.
So. No, I mean, dude, I'm actually 31 and I really enjoy my 30s so far. And I think the reason why is that there's this level of confidence too, which kind of even bringing up, like, you kind of know who you are and you just like go for it. Where in your 20s, you're trying to find who you are and who you're going to be and how that's going to relate to your life, your family, your society, like stuff like that. And now as I'm doing that, it's just like it's kind of crazy. Like at 29, I didn't really expect me to be a father, but then at 31, I was like, yeah, I could do this. And it's been actually amazing. And it's one of those things where it's like, with all that being said, turning 30, when I talk about that, the fears of turning that, and then like what the other side of it looks like, and there's pros and cons for sure.
Yeah. Get back to me when you turn 40. Fuck. Yeah. The only nice thing about it is like I've been around in the scene, for long enough that like I've seen a lot of shit that I can talk about from like personal experience, but it's like my high school career was very different than a lot of other people's high school careers. Yeah. And it's very different than people's high school careers now. So I'm just like, it's just different. It's fun. And, everybody's living their own experience. So it's fine. I'm just also like, oh man, my back hurts the way you talk about some of this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Who would you like to collab with? If you could collab with anybody? In the world.
I feel like I always, like, there's so many that I would, but I think that I would always go back to, I would still love to collaborate with, I'm going to say multiple people. So this is my episode with you guys. So I'm just kidding. I'm breaking rules.
It's your it's your answer.
Pete Wentz, Matty Healy, Jack Antonoff. Those three for sure. I also think it would be really interesting, just completely off the wall, either Tyler the Creator or like Childish Gambino.
Oh, that would
like,
be so.
like,
I think you
one
and
of those.
Childish that would pop
Childish,
off.
oh
That would
my
pop
God, like,
off.
I just feel like he would just bring something that like, wow, I didn't even think something like that would, like both of them, like Pharrell, like, and something like that would be just completely off the wall. In fact, that was actually one of the reasons why like I was actually kind of a little bummed that Chance didn't like turn for me for The Voice, because I was like, God, it would have been really cool to just see what like another perspective is like. So yeah, I think those would be my answers for sure.
I think the rock scene is finally collaborating a lot more.
Yeah.
I also, from the perspective of like producers and people who go into the studio and can write kind of everything.
Yeah.
Your band being multifaceted in different genres and liking different things, but coming together and writing, pop music or rock music or whatever you create as a three-piece.
Right.
And there's producers who are just like, yeah, I listen to metal all the time, but then I go to the studio and I got to record like a pop band or a country band. So it doesn't really matter like what I listen to, but it matters how I take all these influences and I create out of it.
Right.
And I think rock music is at least like getting to the place where no one is trying to silo themselves anymore. They're trying to be like, they're trying to have those facets in and of themselves, either to make their own career and like I want to be able to produce people and like that be my career. So I got to know how to do all this different stuff, or it's because they like I want to write like the coolest shit I can possibly make.
Now, I love rock music because I feel like this is the thing that's so interesting, that I feel like rock music is just attitude, right? So it's like anything could be rock music as long as you give some attitude, like I'm going to do this is me, blah, blah. However, what's the stigma with rock music is that like purists, there's too many purists in rock music where it's like, well, if you're not doing this, then you're a sellout. And it's like, bro, I just like want to see what else there is in life than these four chords that is just with the guitar and bass. I want to see what else I can make with that. And if we like cut that out of our minds of like, let's just see where else they can go with it, there could be some really interesting things in rock music. I mean, I feel like in some ways, Billie Eilish was or is rock. In some ways, Miley Cyrus. In some ways, like in those things, and like they just come out with things that show attitude and their own individuality is rock music. And if we could just keep that, that's how simple it is, then we can make rock music really interesting. And that's the reason why rap music became the new rock music, is because rap music didn't have like a stigma of like, well, if you're not rapping exactly like this, you're not this genre. I can go Tyler the Creator, Childish Gambino, Chance the Rapper, and then there's, Kendrick, and there's a billion other rappers that can go do their own style. And we're just thinking that it's cool because it's in that genre, they can all rep it.
I think they also are trying to collaborate with more rock artists too, because I feel like because rap got so big, there were people who started to say that like you can't do that, like that's not how you can't do this mumble rap. I don't like that it's popular. These songs don't say anything. It's just like kids like making noises into a microphone. It's like people like it, and for better or worse, there are going to be people who listen to Designer in 2012 that are like, I'm going to go make the next Designer record, and you're like, wait, why would you do that? That was bad. And it's like, well, the thing that they're making now is pretty good, pretty interesting. Because they took all of the influences that came before them. And while you were being a purist, it's like they said, well, I want to collaborate with rock artists. I want to collaborate with country artists. I want to make like different styles of music, because I didn't grow up with like the purist attitude that you did over, Nas and Biggie and Tupac.
And that goes back to earlier when I was like shitting on that artist, Ian. It's not for me. And he wasn't writing music for me, he was like, you're not my target audience. So I found a target audience that I'm going for. Nina Simone once said, you have to write, artists' biggest responsibility is to write for the times that they're in. And so whatever time he's in, that's his thing. And maybe my daughter will listen to stuff. I know my daughter will listen to stuff that is like, what? I mean, my parents, like I listen to stuff and my parents will be like, what are you talking about? So it'll be interesting as that progresses.
I'm pretty sure Designer was 2014. I'll correct that later.
All right, then our last question. What are any show dates or tour dates that you have coming up?
So we are really focusing on the Midwest and building out our Midwest territories as much as possible. So we have a Pittsburgh show coming up on August 11th. We have a Wisconsin date back in Appleton, we love this Appleton, Wisconsin. literally just a small knit community that just loves music. And July 26th, we're playing that. We're doing Wicker Park Fest July 28th. We're actually doing New York festival in New York with a. I don't think I can say more than that right now. I almost was like, wait, I don't know when this is going to be released, but that's going to be a really exciting one because especially if you found me through The Voice. I guess that's all I say.
Cassidy Pope.
Yeah. I would die. That would.
I know, right?
It's so funny. I was like, name your favorite. They were like, who's your favorite Voice contestant? And I was like, Cassidy Pope. And I'm like Cassidy. Like, all right.
You're like, all right, let's.
All
right, I see you're uncultured.
I got it. All right.
And was right there with her.
Yeah. So we're really focused in that Midwest there. So we're this is not coming out before Nashville, but we're doing more stuff in Nashville, trying to build that out because it's not just country anymore down there. Mm-hmm. It's pop rock, it's pop, whatever you call it. So
it's like second LA now.
Yeah, no, really, it really has been. So we have a lot going on there, and we're really excited for it. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to do another hour?
Did we do an hour? Is that what it was?
We
It's an hour and a half right now. Yeah.
Hour and a half?
Yeah.
Wow, people I'm sorry, guys. I did I came here to hear a little half hour of Ryan Argast, and they came with an hour and a half.
This is, we'll do another 3-hour podcast later.
It all comes together.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been listening to 4-hour long podcasts all week.
I typically do long podcasts, especially if I got a long drive.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is only an hour. Jeez. We were going back and forth with Nashville. I'm like, I need something to listen to for a long time. Give me, yeah. So
there was this one that I listened to. It's all about different legends and myths and things. And they started putting out. It was an hour and a half, and then they started putting up 4-hour ones. And I said, "Oh, this is it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Deep. Yeah, lock in."
But I will say it's nice to talk to you longer than 15 minutes because I interviewed you the first time for Wonk in 2016 at Riot Fest.
Oh my God, that is crazy!
All that time ago.
Wow, that's amazing. 15. I mean, what are we? Are you excited about the fest? I'm excited about the fest.
Yeah, that's all you could have done it, because we get such sort and we were college kids, learning how to interview. So we're
it's amazing.
Let's talk
so
about
what's going on with your new record? Is that good?
Yeah, just baby Lizzie interviewing.
I'm 12.
Hey.
That's so awesome.
You played Riot Fest in 2015?
2016.
Yeah, 2016.
I played in 2012.
Did you really? Who'd you play with at the time?
That was Shock and Zombie.
Really?
So we did a competition to play. It was the first year they were doing it in Humboldt and doing it as a big festival in the park. And they were running a contest for a battle of the bands to open the small stage on Sunday.
Was that the year that Chiodos came back?
Yep. That was,
I was there.
Chiodos Reunited. It was A Day to Remember.
Yeah.
Coheed.
I was there.
Iggy and the Stooges. Replacements, I think, headlined on Sunday night.
Yeah, that was fun. That was my first Riot Fest. That was the first time.
Mine too, and I played it.
Look at you.
And we were opposite Imagine Dragons.
Yikes! All right.
And only one of us could have made it.
Well,
and,
I mean, to be honest, though,
listen, Brian, you could have been Imagine Dragons.
Yeah,
too.
It was the duel between you and Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I was apparently radioactive, and they heard the thunder or whatever. Well, before we wrap up, then let the people know where they can find you, where they can check out all the tour dates that are coming up, buy tickets if necessary, all that stuff.
Everything marinacityband.com is super easy, but all of our social media is at Marina City Band on TikTok, X, Twitter, Instagram, at Marina City Band. Contrary to popular belief, we're actually not called Marina City Band. We're just called Marina City. That was just the handle that we needed at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, we didn't do a handle at Marina City IL, and everyone would just call us Marina City. Yeah. And then my stuff is everything at Ryan Argast. So I really appreciate you guys having me. Seriously, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great questions, great conversation.
It's been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you were on The Voice. I was like, I'm like, who are they rep by? Or can I just message Ryan on Facebook real quick and be like, hey, do you just want to come on and chat?
Yeah, we thought about
it. Nate actually, right?
Yeah, he sent it to me. Then he texted me. He's like, hey, do you want to do Marina City? I was like, yeah, I know these guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
That was awesome. Well, I'm happy it worked out.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Me too. And thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everything. We'll see you at Wicker Park Fest.
Yeah.
If you're there, say hi to Ryan. Because he's as nice in person as he is on the episode. So, say hello.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening for an hour and a half or whatever, how long this is too.
Well, we'll see. We'll cut it down.
Yeah, if you want the full hour and a
it down
half,
for
you
2
just have to go
hours, 2
subscribe to our Patreon real quick.
Ooh, a Patreon. Yeah, you better subscribe to the Patreon.
You're gonna get TikTok?
It's $1, and you get
It's
to
$1.
hear all the worst things we've ever said.
Yeah.
Some of the worst and most disgusting takes we've ever had.
There you go.
4 hours of a Trump impression, and it's worth every penny. All 99 of them after taxes, or the fuck ever. Ryan, thanks again for hanging out.
Thank you guys.